Howdy, y'all. This is Mark Bromley running for City Council Ward 3, number 2 on the ballot for the city of Northglenn. To vote Mark Bromley this year on the ballot, do a number 2, Ward 3 for the city of Northglenn. Get out there and vote. I'm the only conservative running for City Council for the city of Northglenn, Ward 3. Do a number 2, vote Mark Bromley. Just Mark Bromley, the smaller name in the middle, Malcolm in the middle. Remember that. Vote for Mark Bromley. And, well, I'll be on the city council for 8 years. And during that first 2 years, we'll get Tim Long to become the mayor for the city of Northglenn. He'll get an 8 years on that. I'll become mayor after that for another 8 years. And for 20 years and 30 years, we'll have an actual working government for the city of Northglenn that actually does its job perfectly. We'll create a responsible, humble, and civil city Northglenn that listens to the people and is always there for you. On Ward 3, when you vote for me, you actually get a person that represents all of Northglenn, not just Ward 3, but all of Northglenn. You can always talk to me. Anybody from any ward can actually contact me, talk to me directly. I'm always open for conversation. Everybody has representation under me. And in this report that we're talking about today, I will be introducing the 3 comments by Ryan Easterling-Babin. He's a Democrat, and he's running against another Democrat named Kondo. Those are 2 far left, well, nut jobs on our, well, I shouldn't say that. That's a little harsh, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Well, anyways, Easterling-Babin is being abused by the Democrats because they know he's a Democrat running against them, but they never really supported the gay community. That was just a voter base for them. That was just a message that they tailored. They tried to control him, but if you've seen the DISE board meetings, then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. He is not really treated well. They did do a Kondo name drop constantly during the last meeting. The chairman did. And basically, they didn't really work with Ryan too well. So, yeah, I don't know why he's in the race, but I just wanted to be fair. I wanted to be inclusive to let Ryan know that, yeah, he's not an enemy or anything like that. That basically he should have his voters vote for Mark Bromley, put me on the city council for better representation. Of course, we're going to change some things in the future. But Northglenn is still going to be inclusive. We're just not going to call you guys pride, which is considered a sin. So a lot of people see a lot of negative connotation under that. We're going to change that to be more involved with the whole of city of Northglenn. So we're going to change a bunch of names around, and people are still going to have representation. And listen to the whole bit. You'll hear a little bit more of what I'm talking about. And this is the video about Mark Bromley versus Ryan Easterling-Babin. I don't know if he has a nickname or not. He never actually said his nickname, so I can't give you like cheeky nicknames for this one. So anyways, let's go and review Easterling-Babin. His 3 comments during the October newspaper that just came out. Okay, hi there everybody. This is your friend Mark Bromley again, running for Ward 3 for the City Council of Northglenn. And here we are going to present the 3 issues that Ryan Easterling-Babin thinks is important for Northglenn. Now, it's sad that Easterling-Babin, if you've been watching any of the DISE board meetings lately, how he's being treated in the last meeting at the end of September, start of October, he was actually treated badly by other Democrats on the city council. Easterling-Babin is part of the gay community. He's part of the pride community. And he was treated really badly by the DICE board, who kept favoring Kondo as their choice for the Democrat Party. And they showed their anger at him. They ostracized him. And all I can say to Ryan Easterling-Babin is, welcome to my world. Welcome to the conservative world. If you people in the gay community actually thought you were going to actually be better serviced by the Confederate Communist Democrat Party, and yes, the Democrats were the Confederates. I'm sorry to say this to you. No, you're not going to get treated better by them. They are lying to you. They are using you just to get your votes. So I'm sorry, you're going to be mistreated and they're going to actually reject you eventually. Once they get what they want, you'll be rejected. And Ryan Easterling-Babin is that proof and evidence that he's being rejected by the Democrat Party itself for who he is. It's a sad thing that you guys can't actually capture this or see this, but you should understand. My brother, Danny, he is one of your community members. If you don't believe me, go to YouTube, look it up, Northglenn Star Trek Convention in the 1970s, one of the first Star Trek conventions in the state of Colorado. At that Star Trek convention at the old Northglenn Mall, Leonard Nimoy was there as a guest of honor. My brother is in the video. He's dressed up as a cat. I guess a Khitan. If you've seen the Star Trek animated series, then you know what the Khitan actually is. And it's a cat-like people. He's dressed up as a cat. Anyways, enough said about that. Now you actually know that I understand you guys very, very well. Unfortunately, the Democrats do not understand you as well, and they are discriminating against you. The reason why they threw you on that dice board was not so you had a platform. It was just lip service so they can get votes. That's all it was for. The truth of the matter is, I applied for that Ward 3 dice board as well to represent the conservative viewpoints here in the city of Northglenn and to represent the underserved of the community. I was not interviewed by Julie Mullica or Catherine Goff. They hated me because I was not a far left leaning liberal Democrat. So, yeah, Ryan Easterling-Babin is the person they picked and they interviewed instead. But here we are. We already know Easterling-Babin is being betrayed by his own Democrat Party. We already seen it. I seen it on the dice board on the last council meeting. Whose name got dropped more often during that meeting? Condos did. So, anyways, here we go. Let's take a look. What are the top 3 priorities facing Northglenn now and in the near future? How would you address them? Well, here in the Northglenn newspaper, dropped here in October, this is Ryan Easterling-Babin's point of view here. Now, he's kind of sophomore in his years. This is the first time he may have actually ran for office, which good for him. But his goals are rather adolescent and not fully thought out. For instance, transparency. Yes, I remember transparency back in 2019. Yes, I did offer that. That was one of the choices I gave. And yeah, he wants clear communication and transparent operations are key to a well-run government. Even when everyone involved acts in good faith, a lack of transparency leaves room for bad actors to spread misinformation and erode public confidence. Well, he is right. The city council and the city management does do an extra effort to not be transparent. They hold a lot of executive sessions, executive sessions. I'd say in the past year, 1 out of every 2 city council meetings was an executive session, which means that we were cut out of whatever the city of Northglenn is actually doing with the planning committees, with the zoning boards. And to dig up all that information, you really actually have to sleuth the city of Northglenn's website. And then you have to create passwords and entities and whatnot just to get into these board things that are being deliberately screened from the public. So we don't know what the plans are because the city council is always going to overturn what the citizens want to see. And we're going to get something bulky, something nasty, something ugly, something wasteful, and something completely and totally counterproductive to this green energy initiative of theirs and their net zero initiatives that is not very good. It's like the new city hall. The new city hall has a lot of design deficiencies. Like, for instance, to get into the main room for the city council, there's only one door. If you notice that, there's one door. It's narrow, it's restricted, it's highly controlled. And I would have to say it violates fire laws in the state of Colorado to make fire safety a priority because you're supposed to have 2 entrances and exits clearly labeled and clearly accessible in case of fire in such an area. And we don't have that. And then there are steps in that new building that are, these are steps, and they're long steps that somebody's eventually going to get hurt on because they don't follow the procedures of normal steps. It should have been a gentle ramp so people can easily use a ramp to get up to the higher elevation on the first floor instead of having to step on these stairs, because these stairs are awkward, they're oblong, they're dangerous. And yeah, we are seeing a lot of deficiency in the buildings that they've been planning for the last few years because they decided to ignore citizen input. And anyways, the city council chambers looks like it's a temporary fix. That part of the building can be yanked off of that whole entire building whenever they want it gone, and they're going to move the city council somewhere else, probably in the city. There's a real possibility of that, the way that this building has been designed. It looks like an actual crashed RV on the side of the road where the air conditioning unit on the RV unit just fell off to the side. That's what the city hall looks like. It looks like an RV crash on the side of the road, and it pretty much shows. I've been using the crosswalk for that by the city hall, just so the city hall, if anybody ever looks out the window while I'm crossing the street, they can see how dangerous the community center drive is at these crosswalks where they expect pedestrians to push the button to cross the street, and the cars don't stop. They keep whizzing on by. They don't stop for the pedestrians. And so that's why I've been using the crosswalk by the city hall recently, so they can actually look out the window and see what this does around pedestrians, because the cars don't stop, and they have one set of crosswalk has no lights right there. So those two crosswalks right there, one of them doesn't even have a light that the pedestrians can push to tell the cars, "Hey, stop! I'm crossing the street." Pedestrians have the right of way. Pedestrians have the right of way around bikes. Pedestrians have the right of way around cars. So cars have to stop for pedestrians. Bikes have to avoid pedestrians. It's not the other way around. Okay, but the city doesn't actually address these issues, and they don't. So yeah, he's right. There is a transparency issue, but that transparency issue is systemic. It's fundamental to the city of Northglenn itself because they've ingrained it in the way that they've created the boards and commissions, and I doubt that even people on city council know what's going on in the city of Northglenn. I bet the city manager knows more than what the city council knows, and that's a fact. And the city manager is the person that really has to be clear and has to create transparency more than anything else. There's a lot of passwords, there's a lot of hidden things, there's a lot of hidden building activities going on. Section 36 out in up north there is actually somewhat hidden from the public. It's kind of like a secret area. It's a secret Section 36, but it's the wastewater treatment plant mostly, with some little farming and a couple of little industrial sites going on out there, surrounded by neighborhoods. So it's still under development, but there's some access that's restricted for understanding what's been going on in the planning committee. And former Mayor Downing, she wants it to be quiet. She wants it to be secret because she is actually being divisive towards the city of Northglenn itself, because she has a core group of people that she wants to make the city plans with, and she doesn't care about the population. So, yeah, transparency is a thing that's we're still struggling with ever since I ran for office back in 2019. If Ryan Easterling-Babin was here in 2019 instead of 2020, he would have seen that that was one of my things about the city of Northglenn, is trying to make it more transparent. So he's not actually talking about anything new. His next issue, well, let's keep that closed in. His next issue is mental health and substance abuse. The issue is extremely close to my heart. These issues drive homelessness, and I believe partnership to expand services and make them more accessible is a better long-term solution than relying only on law enforcement. I have talked repeatedly to folks in and around E.B. Rains Park who say that they just don't know where to go for help. Well, actually, Ryan Easterling-Babin, yeah, is wrong about mental health and substance abuse. That is not the driving factor of homelessness. The driving factor of homelessness is economic conditions and political persecution happening by the Democrat Party in order to try to dictate why people should vote for them. Basically, the Democrats are saying, you vote for us or we make you homeless by destroying your jobs, destroying your income, and destroying your families. And that's what the Democrats do in order to try to justify people voting for them. They use fear tactics, they try to terrorize the public, and then they force people into homelessness. The mental health and the substance abuse of homelessness develops over an extended period of time of a person experiencing homelessness, joblessness, economic decline, and the destruction of their families. When you reach that level, you cannot stay mentally sane. It starts to tear you apart because it works on your spirit. Your spiritual side is destroyed by the initiatives that the Democrats have issued under this mental health thing. If anything, mental health is an enemy to the individual, to the people of our society. It's an enemy to family. It's a it's an enemy of everybody. Mental health is not the issue. Substance abuse also comes along with that only because there are drug pushers actively engaging with the homeless people to force them into using drugs. And these drug dealers are part of the Democrat mechanisms that actually drive homelessness. They know about the homeless and they prey on the dwindling mental condition of the homeless people to push drugs on them. That's an after effect of poverty and homelessness because there are drug dealers out there actively trying to create this appearance. Homelessness is based on jobs and economy and family. Those people that are homeless, they wouldn't be that way if there was more stability in their life. Now, the city of Northglenn created two laws that attacked churches within the city of Northglenn. I talked about both of these a few years back. I was the first one to initiate this. And now some church groups had arrived to the city council within the recent weeks to discuss the same problems that I was talking about. These were the church groups involved with providing meals to homeless people at the park, providing meaningful service. In Northglenn, back in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, churches used to provide the services needed to reclaim the soul of homeless individuals, of those in poverty, and to bring them back into the community by restoring faith, spirituality, the sense of community itself. We don't need mental health facilities. We need more faith, more spirituality, more personal growth in a spiritual, more meaningful, more faithful kind of way, creating harmony within our society to create jobs, better economic conditions, better businesses, more love of the people of our community. That's why I run with the values of spirituality, because that is what actually brings people back together. That's what makes people part of a community, part of a society. It's faith and belief, it's spirituality that actually creates better people. Yeah, all this mental health stuff, that's like a cold stainless steel petri dish. That's all mental health actually is. It's a it's an antiseptic. It's a padded room. It's a brutal condition being forced on people. It's a judgment. It mental health was shut down by President Kennedy because so many people were locked up in mental health places for political persecution reasons. Politicians elected in office were sending people to mental health care facilities to lock them up and forget about them. That's why John F. Kennedy closed these things down. And we actually have a street called Kennedy Street. Imagine that, right? And it's not mental health. It's a restore the people back to faith, back to spirituality. These churches that were delivering food in our community, yeah, some of them were actually out in Thornton, which I guess you could argue that they were trying to. Thornton was actually trying to move its homeless population to the city of Northglenn. You could argue that, but these churches were actually trying to increase their practitioners by what? Providing to the homeless people. So they were trying to give them faith and belief in their society again. Now, there was another law where the city of Northglenn got mad at a local church here in Northglenn because they were offering beds to homeless people, a place to shelter them. Shelter them within the city of Northglenn. And they called it the Fire Watch laws. And that was a legislation they passed where you had to set a person down to be at the fire watch to make sure that these people didn't light the place on fire. Um, that's what it was really actually for. And so they said they had to adjust their sprinkler systems and this and that, and they were trying to make different codes, but you can't make different building codes than what the people who install fire sprinkler systems and electrical services into a building understand through the National Fire Protection Agency, which I'm a member of, the NFPA. And you can't do that with people because that's not what's being trained through the NECs, National Electrical Codes, or the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Agency. That's not what's being instructed. That's not what the schools are teaching. So these local laws, these local city laws, trying to rewrite the NFPA or the NEC or the actual building codes, the IBCs, the International Building Codes, National Building Codes, NBCs. Anyways, you can't rewrite that stuff when you got people being taught and educated how to build at a national level. And that was the problem when I got back from the Navy here in the state of Colorado, is that the local unions had control of the state tests. And the state test did not reflect what the national level of, well, the national level of education was teaching their electricians, their engineers, their builders. It wasn't matching the same thing. They were using a little bit of stuff that was always off. Their numbers were always a couple of percentages off, that on their multiple choice question, they would know if you actually knew your stuff because you learned at the national level versus learning at the state level. They would know by just creating one erroneous answer that would say if you were a union trained person or a nationally trained person. And they would know that difference, and that would be a difference on if you actually got a license or not a license in the state of Colorado, based on if you were union or trained nationally. So yeah, they call it independent, but yeah, if you were trained nationally, you would actually be automatically in disagreement with the state ran unions. And this was a true thing that was actually happening here in Northglenn. And when the city and when the state gets revealed or exposed doing that, they change it to what the national thing is, but then they just mess around with a few numbers. So it's always, yeah, you can't trust the testing system that the enforcement agencies here, DORA, the Department of Regulatory Agencies, is doing here in the state of Colorado versus what people are being taught at the national level for these services. So there's a big difference. I mean, there's a disagreement between using the UGLIS manual versus the National Electrical Codes, using the National Electrical Codes versus what the unions are teaching here in the state of Colorado. There's a difference. There's a difference between these things. And well, we go in there and we can see how this is actually breaking down. So The truth of the matter is, he's wrong on this whole mental health and substance abuse thing. This is actually a programming tool used by the Democrat Party just to force their agenda onto the state of Colorado. In fact, if we used more churches and got more of these people involved with growing their spirit, growing their faith, and growing their a more healthy approach, a more organic approach to becoming part of society itself, they would be better off. And this can be fixed with creating core values that I believe in, of strengthening family values, of strengthening our leadership, of strengthening faith and spirituality within our community by encouraging our churches to become part of the community again, to where they build a stronger community. Because Northglenn was great back in the 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. Going to church was fun. I used to go to the church, the Mormon church, and I used to go to the Christian church up on 120th and Huron called Crossroads. If you ever been up there, and yeah, I went to Awana Bible study, things like that. And sure, if we had more spirituality in our community, we could actually save so many people from actually having to face these terrible conditions by just allowing the church groups to actually truly become what they are. And that's the key thing that he's missing in this spirituality. I think Easterling and Babin would actually succeed with such information. But anyways, he's wrong on that one. Anyways, inclusiveness. Well, there it is. The DEI, the Democrat Employment First Initiative. DEI is only designed by the Democrats to dictate their agenda, to dictate their narrative. The DISE board was created as a DEI initiative so the Democrats can dictate employment, could dictate political involvement and political ideologies in the city of Northglenn. So when he's talking about inclusiveness, let's see what he has to say. From my work with Northglenn DISE Board, I understand the importance of making sure that everyone feels included in the political process. While canvassing for signatures, I heard from many who feel that their neighborhoods are ignored or treated as lesser. I plan to be a voice for all of Northglenn. Okay, he was canvassing for 30 signatures, which is 4 hours of work. This is 4 hours of door storming, and if he's like me and he likes to talk to people, he only really actually probably engaged with somewhere between 40 to 50 people to get his 30 signatures. So he's basing his opinion on a very, very narrow margin of people in the city of Northglenn, not even 1% of the people of Northglenn. And that's who he's listening to. But yeah, a lot of people naturally believe that their neighborhoods are being ignored or treated as lesser, and he's right. There is a lot of underserved people in the community. I represent that underserved community. Mark Bromley is the underserved portion of this community, the politically oppressed for 5 decades. I am one of those people that truly know that our communities are being ignored and are actually under threat. We are under threat from the city council itself. Julie Mullica hated our homes, hated our houses, hated our zoning, and she wanted to pile up houses in everybody's yard. She wanted 10 or 20 families living in every single household. That's what she really wanted. She really wanted to do a number on the city of Northglenn. And if she could burn down our houses and do a martial fire on us, she would do it. Conda would do it in a heartbeat. If they could destroy our houses because they want a facelift on the city of Northglenn, they think our buildings are so old that we're back in the Stone Age. But no, our houses were built 56 years ago. Well, I guess if you go back to 1959, you can say 66 years ago. But in fact, it's 56 because that's when the city of Northglenn was established. 10 years before that, we were actually just out on our own. We were just an undeveloped area. So 56 years, city of Northglenn's been around. The first homes built in Northglenn were back in 1959. And yeah, there's a certain quality that our houses exude. Uh, our houses are fantastic. They're engineered very strong and very sturdy for the time frame that they were built in. They're easy to fix. They're easy to mend. They're easy to resurface. They're easy to make look better, uh, to make look nicer. Yeah, that's always the thing, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder. In the eye of the beholder. And there is a certain quaint look to even homes that are all the way back to the Middle Ages, built in the Middle Ages with thatched roofs. In Japan, a lot of homes are very, very old. They go back centuries, maybe even 10 centuries, and they're beautiful homes for about 10 centuries old. And yeah, they use thatch, they use straw on top of the roof, and they've been doing that for, well, centuries. And they still got people actually doing that kind of roofing in Japan. I mean, it's a miracle. It's amazing what they actually do. Even in England, they have some really, really old homes that maybe they don't meet modern standards as far as Wi-Fi and electricity, but they do have their beauty to their design and why they exist and how they were built. Some of them have actually included new upgrades for Wi-Fi and electricity, and they are beautiful homes. So yeah, we are not an old city. We are not an ancient city. We are a modern city with modern homes and modern looks. And that's what we actually are. Is the city of Northglenn inclusive? Yes, like I did. I just told you about my gay brother Danny and him being one of the first furries in the city of Northglenn back in the 1970s at the first Star Trek convention in the state of Colorado. He was part of the group that actually created the first Star Trek convention. There's also a book convention called the Mile High Con. Him and his friends are actually instrumental in the creation of that institution as well in the state of Colorado. So that came from Northglenn. That's inclusivity right there. It, Northglenn's been one of the most inclusive cities ever since it was created. I was conceived in 1969. The city of Northglenn was created upon my conception as a gift from God to me to to honor my conception, along with the conception of probably a lot of other people that were born in 1969 as well, here in the city of Northglenn. And that's a gift of God to us, and that's what City of Northglenn actually is. It's an inclusive thing because there are a lot of us that was born for the City of Northglenn itself. That's why it was actually built for us. I mean, my wife is from a town that mirrors Northglenn. It has the word morning in it and north in it, and I call it the the northern morning sun. That's what I call my wife's hometown. She was always meant to become part of Northglenn too. And so is my son. He was born here in Northglenn. Yeah, he lives in Hiroshima right now, but he is a Northglenn resident himself. And yeah, they're Japanese. I'm a Japanese father. So yeah, I believe in inclusiveness. The inclusiveness has always been Northglenn. So you know what? All you guys that were going to vote for Ryan Babin, Easterling-Babin, vote for me, Mark Bromley. I'm the only one actually representing you guys, and I'm a conservative. Think about that. The conservatives actually do more for you in this community than the Democrats will do for you because they are lying to you. They are harmful. Like I said, you know, you just cannot trust the Democrats. They were the Confederates. They have been dishonest. They lied to you. Done that for many, many decades. They're deceivers, and many of their candidates, like Kondo, Mullica, lied. They would destroy this town if they could, and they want to start all over from scratch. That's what they really want to do. But you know, a city is an organic element. It's going to be built by the people that live here. And that's the most important thing we have to remember, that we are a city of many people with many ideas and many ways of living. So, you know what? The truth is the perseverance of the city of Northglenn while being open minded enough to create the future of Northglenn. And that's the key thing. Now, I'll go into my outro here so you can see how I compare to Ryan Babin. I decided to do this video just to, well, you know, he doesn't deserve to be ignored, not like how he's being ignored on the dice board or by the Democrat Party itself. He should be heard too. And yeah, if him and his friends actually understood how similar I am and how similar my oldest brother Danny was to his community, the foundations of his community here in Northglenn, he would understand that pride's the wrong way to go about it. It's not inclusive enough. It's not open to everybody in the city of Northglenn. And we will change that when I'm on the council. We're going to turn it into something better that everybody can truly be represented at an event that represents the city of Northglenn, not a partisan minor narrative of destruction. We're going to fix that. Anyways, well, I'm Mark Bromley. I'm running for Ward 2. I'm the conservative candidate that actually cares about the people of Northglenn, and I can see all the differing points of view. I'm from the underserved part of the community, and I represent the largest portion of the people. Well, there's a lot of people that don't vote, and they don't vote because they have their own beliefs and reasons why they don't do it, and I can respect that. But they deserve representation nonetheless, and I give them that representation. So, everybody should get out there. They should vote for Mark Bromley. Easterling-Babin should have his people voting for me. You guys could do better than what you got. And I'll show you a way to that because, like I said, my first goal is leadership, fixing the broken leadership that is divisive on our city council. There are like 8 deadly sins on our city council, 8 deadly sins on our city council. The chief among them is that of pride. And we can change that political narrative that is very narrow minded, that is only held in power by 11% of the population. And if you took a look at what the city manager wrote, 32% of the city of Northglenn votes. Back in 2021, it was as low as 23% voted. And that meant that in 2021, Democrats only got like 11% of the public to vote for them. 11% of 40,000 people, which is very low. It's a small number. We can change that kind of leadership to be more involved with the whole city of Northglenn. We're going to rename the June months. We're not going to make it a sinful month. We're not going to label a bunch of people sinners because that's what pride is. It's a sin. And so people get the information that you're sinning. We're going to change that appearance. We are going to get rid of the dice board. We don't need it. It's not essential. We can take those funds and use them more appropriately. And that's my second thing, finances. We're going to fix a lot of the finances in the city by clearing up some of the smoke and some of the mess that the Democrats had made. Now, of course, this might take a 2-year process because we need to get a new mayor. And I'm actually saying that if I'm on city council in 2 years, I won't run for mayor. But if I'm not on city council, I'll be running for mayor. But if I'm not running for mayor because I'm on city council already, then I will be helping Tim Long win his race for mayor. And we'll have more conservative voices taking over the city council 2 years from now. And we will make wise decisions on finances. We will actually fix those kind of things. So yeah, my goals are completely doable. And I have a plan to actually fix the city of Northglenn. So you guys should be helping me out with that. Now, the third thing is creating a responsible, humble, and civil city of Northglenn. Right now, on our city council, we don't have that. They use fear and intimidation to try to stay in power. They abuse their authority, they abuse their office, and it shows. Even on the DISE board, Easterling-Babin was being destroyed by his own party members. He was being debased. And he's running for office too. He's not being given a legitimate chance, which is sad. And it is really, truly sad for him. But there it is. There's the problem about the civility on our city council. They've even aimed a lot of hate at me and my business and the 3 books that I wrote here in the city of Northglenn. They've discriminated against me for the DICE board. They didn't even interview me because I was not their political party. And that showed with Mullica and Goff that they hate everything that isn't their far left narrative. And that's the problem with DISE board members becoming the city council, is that they are going to be far left extremes. And well, sorry that Ryan Easterling-Babin is going to be one of those types, because he's sold into that whole entire Democrat message. But he is learning during his campaign that he's not getting the support from the Democrats. He's not. They're trying to redirect it all to Kondo. And Kondo has a lot of communist programs that he wants to initiate. I mean, he wants to spy on people's cell phone. Your cell phone becomes basically an electronic leash, one of those police devices they put around your ankle. That's what your cell phone becomes under Kondo, because he would want to monitor everything that you do electronically. So does the mayor. She wants to monitor everything that you do electronically, and they will come after you. Persecution is the high thing on the city council, and that is why it's not responsible, and that's why it's not not humble, and that's why it's not civil. They do not care about the citizens of this community. All they want to do is encourage a police state, and for any minor little thing that they want to hate you for, they want to jail you, lock you up, and throw away the key. That's what it is. They attack me on that legal level all the time. They even went out and got a California lawyer to come after me, accusing me of false things without actually having any specifics. And he actually did that because Leidy, Mullica, Brown, Wilford, and Kondo literally hate me. These are 5 Northglenn City Council politicians, all Democrats, trying to usurp the law, trying to turn it into some kind of form of fascism, some kind of form of socialism, some kind of form of communism, a big brother program where they really want to spy on the citizens of the community and then falsely accuse them of crimes just to simply lock them up, throw away the key, and forget about them. These are things to remember of why I run for office and why you should vote for Mark Bromley to put him on that city council. Because I have plans and goals for the city of Northglenn, and I will have 8 years on the city council. I will have 8 years as your mayor. And in the interim, we will have 8 years for Tim Long to be mayor already. So, see, it's a big win situation. I have a plan for the city of Northglenn that's going to span at least 20 years, maybe even 30 years, which is going to build a future for the city of Northglenn that will last anywhere between 100 to 500 years, making Northglenn over 550 years old city by the time I'm done by natural causes serving the city of Northglenn. So vote Mark Bromley. Make sure that you do that. Do a number 2 on the city of Northglenn. Do a number 2 on the ballot for Ward 3. Vote Mark Bromley, the smaller of the 2 names between the middle. I'm Malcolm in the middle on the ballot. Number 2. Do a number 2 for Ward 3, City of Northglenn. Get out there and vote Mark Bromley, because I'm going to protect everybody in the city. And I can promise you, you will find a much better Northglenn than any of my anything we currently have. So thank you for listening to me, and I'll talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye.